Hey, anyone who's out there in the dark ether space, my name is hmm, Photog, and I'm going to be covering really quickly a event that took place about 2 weeks ago, March 30th on Passover. This is 2018 for all of you future people, and this was basically kind of super underreported in Western news media, which is really horrible because a lot of people were hurt because of this event. I'm talking, of course, about the Passover Massacre, which happened surrounding the Gaza area. So, let's get into it. So, last Friday, Friday before last, basically close to 30,000 Palestinians had organized and planned to march non-violently along the fence. Basically in protest of the occupation, colonization, confiscation of their ancestral land, and you know, the IDF was already set up and in position. Horrifyingly, they were already authorized to use live ammunition along with their standard tear gas and rubber bullets. So, the protesters show up, and they can clearly see the IDF is already set up. Got guns literally pointed at them already, and despite that, they start marching, and basically immediately the IDF starts shooting at them. That day, about 17 Palestinians were killed, and close to 1,400 were wounded by rubber bullets, tear gas inhalation, non-lethal bullet wounds, all that terrible reactionary suppressive stuff. And that was just that day. Protests actually, despite all the murderous shooting, continued through the next 2 weeks. So as of today, 1,297 were shot and wounded with live bullets, and an additional 1,554 residents of Gaza have now been treated or are being treated for tear gas inhalation or injuries caused by the rubber bullets. So, and 33 Palestinians have been killed. So there were 26 in the border demonstrations, 17 that day, March 30th. The rest throughout the following week or so, and including one who was bombed in a anti-Hamas targeted bombing. So speaking of, basically immediately, this event was being written about by the Israeli news fair as being a Hamas demonstration of power, which is absolutely incorrect. It was a non-violent protest. It was set to be one from the start. Their organizational material has all stated that, this is a non-violent protest, and yeah. So, not to say that Palestinians did not take violent action in response to being shot at. Actually, on the 30th, two of the protests did return fire after being shot at, but that was only two people in opposition to the massive IDF force who sit on the highly militarized border. And more to that, the two Palestinians that did return fire more on that. The 2 Palestinians that did dare return fire were immediately labeled as known terrorists. Here's a really horrifying but accurate quote that I found in the Haaretz magazine. They claim that nothing is cheaper in Israel than Palestinian blood. I think that does a really good job of coloring the way that people, Palestinians, are viewed by the Israeli governing powers, and because of that statement, Haaretz was called anti-Semitic, of course, and even before the protest, the protest was being labeled as a Hamas demonstration of power. It's just there's no winning for these guys. I mean, they're doing their best to resist in the acceptable. If you look at Western society, we like nonviolent protesters. We love Gandhi, we love MLK. So I mean, they're following this tradition of nonviolent protesting, and despite this, they're getting slandered on this media, of course, and called terrorists, and on top of that, they're getting killed and shot and wounded and losing limbs and whatever because of bombings, and it's just really, really disappointing. And I mean, I don't know, it's insane that the West still supports Israel so heavily when this is the way they treat Palestinians. So just another quick thing I'll throw in there before I close this up. The Prime Minister of Israel, Netanyahu, he immediately, pretty much after news was breaking, issued statements praising the IDF for their brave actions, and said they did a great job guarding the country's borders, and well done to our soldiers, is what he said. So that about wraps it up. I hope maybe I can put together some more of these in the future. I don't know, I'm just recording the audio now, and it already seems like an insane amount of work for like a crappy video about a topic that took place freaking weeks ago for me, and months ago, years ago for you probably. Hey, what can you do? Alright, especially if I want to get fancy with graphics. Alright, whatever. Check me out on Twitter or something. I don't really post much. Maybe I'll get more into that too. I don't know. Whatever.